Hello,
Hi,
and
everyone.
welcome to Love With.
Episode 5.
We're your hosts. I'm Elliott.
And I'm Jamie.
And we're here to talk about Easter Sunday.
Yes, spring's coming in Calgary.
Yeah, very exciting.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, it's getting brighter out,
Yes.
a little warmer.
Easter Sunday is coming up, so this is perfect.
Totally. It's so funny. I love warmth, and we're kind of talking about wearing our big parkas today, and I wear that until it's very warm out.
We're such babies when it comes to cold weather. But yeah, anyways, could we give a little bit of a recap?
Yeah, let's recap episode 4. If you haven't watched it or listened to it, highly recommend you go back. But we talked about attachment styles and long distance relationships. And I think there's something in there for everyone. If you're in a committed relationship or single and looking, attachment style is so foundational to a healthy relationship. And, so foundational that we did a 1-hour webinar on it just recently. If you want to check that out, you can go to thelovecoach.ca and grab free access to that. But nice. It was a fun episode talking about kind of our attachment styles. We're kind of transparent about that and how it impacted our relationship. And we hope it serves you.
I think it's really important to know what your attachment style is and what your partner's is. It just helps you to recognize certain patterns and helps you to understand each other and communicate things in a more gentle, gracious way. Yeah. Because you're seeing the patterns. It's not just emotional response or reaction to a certain comment or the way you talk or tone. All those things can trigger us in certain ways, and we don't know where that comes from. We just know that it doesn't feel good, right? So knowing certain attachment styles really important. And we shared our little example, as I'm a little anxiously attached and you're not. So it was a fun episode. Please check it out.
So why don't we jump in?
Let's continue our story. I think there were a series of events that really built my certainty level. You were pretty certain from the beginning, and I think that was a huge driver in our relationship and kept that momentum going. For me, it was kind of gradual, but I think it was building up pretty rapidly because we aligned in so many big things. And also there was level of attraction. It was really building up fast for me. And a lot of my friends asked me like, so you sure he's the one? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. And I was pretty sure 98% going into that Easter Sunday. I was quite sure that you were the one. And part of me was kind of like, well, I might not get that 100% certainty. Maybe you just make that decision to make it certain for yourself. But that's why Easter Sunday was such a big, significant moment for me and for our relationship. What kept it moving so rapidly into our marriage. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Of course,
Well, it's super fun for me too, right? There was just such a build up, and it was fast. And I think we've talked in previous episodes about why that was. And I was coming up every weekend, and I think there was more intensity there because I traveled a little while to get there, and we kind of just spent every waking moment together. At this point in the relationship, I was coming up every weekend, but for longer periods of time. And so I come up for Easter Sunday service, and it was special because we kind of chose a different church, right? So you were going to a certain church here in Calgary, and we decided to kind of venture out and try something new that was kind of both of ours. And that was special to me because I came in and spent some time at your condo and in your city, and this just felt like it was ours, and that was kind of special to me.
I think that was really important for us to start something together. And then I think for me, the part was at the end of the service, the pastor encouraged us to pray at the end and ask to God, what are you saying to me right now? And we also had this paper card given to us, and it said Jesus gives me hope for blank. And you're supposed to write something down and fill that in yourself after kind of praying about it. And at that moment, I didn't have a pen, so I didn't write anything. But I just saw you scribbling. Writing, and then I was like, oh, I wonder what he wrote. Because in my heart, the word future came to my mind. And and so at the end, I was like, what did you write? And then I saw the card and you said you wrote our amazing future.
Yeah.
I think at that moment, something just clicked, and that 2% of question mark or doubt disappeared. I was just so sure at that moment. Yeah. I just felt like God was leading us together. That was super crucial for me and also for you. I think there's that level of faith where if God leads us into something, then what are we to say, you know?
Totally.
I don't know. I'm just like, this is it.
Yeah.
So.
And that's kind of the ultimate certainty, right? Is to feel that's God's kind of orchestrated this and he's brought us together. And I just want to extend this to the audience a little bit and say, whether you have like a Christian faith or kind of religious background, I think faith just as a word, like kind of believing in something, is crucial. I think of our very first meeting, right? And so it required faith to travel up 2 hours to meet you. It requires faith to journey through the more difficult times, believing, okay, this can get better. I just think that's so important. And even if you don't have kind of a religious faith plays such crucial role in a relationship. And whether it's a religious faith or not, I think just that word faith, right? Bringing you together. Faith was required to travel 2 hours up to see Jamie for our first date. Faith is required to continue to see that person and kind of trust them. There's an element of, can I trust this person? And there has to be that element of faith to take that step out and keep going and develop that trust, right? We certainly believe kind of in signs, and I think a lot of folks do, whether you're religious or not. Just having that connection with future together was very special for us. It just brings so much joy talking about that for me.
I think once I hit that 100% certainty mark, we soon after talked about like, okay, when are we going to get married?
Yeah.
Because we both were like, we're ready. What's the delay? And we really sat down and talked about it. And things just progressed. I kind of talked about this last episode about engagement rings and how... Did I talk about it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think... Well, we can tell them.
Yeah, but I never really had dreams of getting engagement rings or what designs I wanted. But ever since I started dating Elliott, I was like looking at engagement rings. And that was so funny because it was so early on. I'm like, whoa, am I going to marry this guy? And then I thought, why not? It's good to know what kind of ring I want. And then... So soon after, we were both like, okay, when are we going to get married? I booked like ring viewing sessions with my sister. And some guys take the total reign in choosing engagement rings. But in our case, like I took the reign and I was like, I want something that I like. You were okay with that. And you just like let me do my thing.
Well, I think... We can even draw on love languages here. And for me, gifts is my lowest love language. So I've never considered myself necessarily good at giving gifts. And especially when it comes to something as symbolic as a wedding ring, an engagement ring, like I think I want you to love it, right? I want you to have exactly what you want. I didn't feel like it was my part to say like, no, I want to get you what I think you'll like. I just want you to get what you like.
I remember praying to God before going on these like viewing sessions or whatever. I was like, God, I just want a ring that makes me happy. When I look at it, I want to remember. I love jewelry, so I think God knows what you like. It's so cool how he's prepared just the perfect ring for me. And I'm like the type of person, I need to know exactly how it looks like on my fingers. I remember like cutting out like a size like 1 carat oval and like checking it on my finger. And I think God just knows all my characters and traits and what I love. And I was able to find the ring that I just like fell in love with, and you also liked it. That was super special. I guess we'll talk about our engagement next episode. That was also very special, which came like after a couple weeks after Easter Sunday, right? Because it was on Mother's Day, May 8th.
We'll save the engagement excitement for another episode. For this episode, we just wanted to give our story and hopefully create some food for thought. My takeaway is just the element of faith. And again, it doesn't have to be religious faith, but kind of stepping out, right? Maybe looking out for certain things. And we really hope we can equip you with what to look for. As we mentioned last episode, you can look out for those style of signs, right? So an attachment style that might not serve you. And so that's a good sign to look out for. And maybe you meet someone secure, and that's a great sign if you're insecure. And so this episode was just about signs.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to talk about is sometimes we feel like we want it so bad that it feels like it's the right sign.
Yeah.
Or you try to put that into the picture and try to justify yourself that like this is the person, when in fact he may not or she may not be the one for you. And so another important factor would be like getting confirmation from the loved ones around you.
Yes.
I think that's really important too, because we're so good at deceiving our own minds.
Yeah.
Sometimes people who love us the most, they can see things when we're kind of blinded by our emotions at times.
Blinded by love.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's another important thing to consider.
Yeah.
As
definitely.
You follow the guidance of higher power or God, whatever, the faith that you have.
Yeah.
Just keep leaning towards those intuitive moments and gain clarity.
Yeah. And what's funny about that, you mentioned we can be blinded by love. And of course, we know a lot about all the chemicals that are produced in that infatuation stage. And we've talked about, our own story because it did move quickly. And I think perhaps a concern people may have had for us is, it's moving quickly. And how do you know? And we talked about knowing about conflict and how we could resolve that. And that was a big sign for us. But then we also talk about like oxytocin and how there's a study done where they give people like a nasal spray oxytocin and they get them to play this financial game, and they're more trusting and they engage in different behaviors than they would have if they didn't have that oxytocin. And so
interesting.
It's obviously, just as you said, really good to connect with loved ones, and they can say things out of love that we might not want to hear, and that can really serve us. And so of course, we can lean on our loved ones. And it's funny too, because I was just thinking about some teaching, and they were talking about how we often say, I get butterflies around this person. And that doesn't necessarily mean that's a good sign. You can get butterflies in an anxious, avoidant relationship because it is exciting, but can lead to a lot of difficulties. And so I think that's a great takeaway, my love, is just to say, reach out to loved ones as well, right? There may be signs that you see, but then there may be things you miss. So it's really good to check in with loved ones. Yeah. Well, hey, I think we can segue on to the next episode.
Please like, comment, and share the episodes with family and friends. We hope this speaks to some of you who are listening to us and following us along.
Yeah.
And we'll come back with episode 6.
We'll talk about engagement, and we are on the road marriage. Yes.
Ring on my finger.
Call in all your friends.
Yes.
Lovely to spend some time with you, and reach out hello@thelovecoach.ca. And we look forward to hearing from you. Okay, bye.
Bye.